conversation. Okay, so 6:37, I'm calling the meeting to order.
Okay, so the virtual meeting statement. So this being said, this meeting is being recorded and it's going to be uploaded to the cloud. So pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this, the meeting of the Hubbardson Economic Development Committee, will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via Zoom. In the event we are unable to do so,
What happened there?
Hold on, she froze.
Okay.
Mallory, you froze. Well, this is fun.
I love technology.
I know. There's. Oh, there you go.
There we are.
If you guys are having trouble with connection, just turn your videos off. It seems to go a lot smoother that way.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you, Mallory.
Thank you. It's good enough, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There, it's good.
Okay, there we go. All right. Well, first on the agenda, let's just vote to accept the minutes from the September meeting. Did everyone receive them? I sent them out actually just only a short time ago. But if you have your computers there, which you obviously do, you can look them up right fast, but we do need to approve them. By the way, is Peter with us?
Yes.
Okay, last meeting, it was, I could see all the boxes with everybody. Today, right now, I just have Katie on my screen.
Why?
And now I have.
Oh, you muted yourself, Whitney. Whitney, you muted yourself. Again, we're off to a rocking start.
Well, hey, listen, I'm not going to beat myself up over this. That's for sure.
Hey, Whitney,
okay, so there's
Whitney,
Lori, yeah.
it's Lori. What are you looking, what device are you using?
I have my laptop,
It's on your
HP laptop.
If you use put the cursor up to the top right hand, it should show speaker view or gallery view.
Okay. Top
if you hit
right
gallery
hand.
view.
Hold on.
Better.
Exit full screen. Maybe that was part of it. Let me do that. Nope, that didn't do it.
Your options are speaker view or gallery view. At least I think that's what it's called.
All this is offering me is exit full screen. That's the only thing in the upper right.
Okay. It's actually right to the left of that little icon. It should give you speaker view. No good? Okay.
Let me take off share screen. No, host disabled. I don't want to mess with anything. Disable share. I don't want to do that. Okay. Participants, let me see if hitting that. Okay. It gives me the list, but it doesn't tell me how to mute, or it only shows me how to mute or rename them.
Okay.
Look at more on disable video receiving. I don't want to do that. Okay, well, that's hold on to this. Hang on a second. No, okay. Well, that's okay. What I've got.
That's okay.
All right. Well, hey, everybody, there's Lori Churchill. And I'd like to introduce, she's our newest member. And Lori owns the Wellness Center at the top of Main Street. What is the address? Is 1, right?
It is.
Main Street. And we want to welcome her to our committee. So welcome and thank you for being here. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the September meeting?
I did, but I can't vote, so it doesn't matter.
I know you can't.
I did.
Thanks, Ariana.
Yeah, no, it's Danielle. That's her daughter.
I know it.
You're welcome.
I think that Mark's name is on this because it's Mark's computer.
No,
So I
no,
think it's
you're showing up as Whitney.
okay. Last time I typed in Whitney and it came up Mark, but okay, this is all new to me. That's for sure. Yeah, we'll give everyone a couple of minutes.
Can anybody hear me?
Very
Just a
faint.
little.
Yeah, is that Peter?
Yeah, that's Peter.
Very
There's
muted.
no static, correct?
No static.
Yeah, I don't
It's
hear.
just very soft.
Yeah, like we did
My
last time.
earbuds, so.
The bu- 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 bu-
Yeah, none of that.
I can't see Whitney, I can't see Danielle.
Yeah, their cameras are off.
Oh, okay.
You're fine. Don't worry, you're good.
All right. Maybe
You
Yeah,
only
but how do we get them on? Is there a way to get them on?
Well, if you want to be on, here. If you want to, I sent you a note that says ask to start your video, so it may or may not work.
Okay.
If you get a request, that would be a place that you could start the video.
Okay. Anything?
Nope.
Okay. Anything, Danielle? Did you try to Danielle?
Danielle is also muted.
Oh,
I'm unmuted now.
Hi. Whitney, if you look again on your screen on the lower left, it should have like a camera icon.
no.
All right. I wonder about
No,
your maybe you have a different version.
Mine doesn't have a camera icon either.
Doesn't. And Danielle, are you on a laptop?
I am.
Okay. Yeah, it could be that it's just a different version.
Yeah, you gotta put the cursor in the black and then it will show up. That's what mine does.
Did you guys
Put the
hear
cursor.
Peter?
Yeah.
If
Put
you
the
move
cursor
the cursor
where?
to the if you move the cursor towards the lower part of your screen, then a panel will pop up, or it should.
Should.
I just have a participants and a share screen.
Yeah,
You don't have all the other?
none of the
There's a mute
others.
Button and a stop video button. Whatever.
Okay.
All right. Well, Peter, Danielle, where are you with that?
I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, me neither. All right. Let's move ahead and we'll figure that out at some point, maybe by July. Peter, did you get a chance to look over the minutes?
I picked
Am
them
I
up, but
muted again?
I didn't read over them. I was at the meeting, so I should be all right.
Yeah, but no, you need to look at them and we need to vote to approve them.
Well, I was at
Can't
the
just say
meeting.
it.
I'm not gonna look over them now, but that was September, correct?
Correct.
I have them. They look great.
Okay. So then I need a motion to accept the minutes.
How do we do
Anybody?
this?
Make a
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Sure.
I'll
And
second.
that was from Warren. Okay, you second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No dissents, and so it's unanimous. Okay. Okay, and we did talk about, Mallory did read us that. Okay, so also included in tonight's meeting is Susan. Are you there, Susan?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Susan. Could you please pronounce your last name for us?
Braggy.
Reggie. Okay. So everyone, this is Susan, and Susan is a candidate for our internship. And
Nice.
I asked her and invited her to sit in on tonight's meeting, and so she could get familiar with the workings. And if she has any questions, to please speak ahead. And if anyone has any questions for her, to ask them. Susan has met with Ryan because apparently there was another position, volunteer position, I believe. Am I correct, Susan?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you explain that, how you came to get, meeting with Ryan and how we're moving forward with this?
Okay. I'm recently retired. I retired August 1st. I was the administrative assistant to a CEO of a $50 million company, and I worked there for 43 years. 3 days into retirement, it's like, oh my God, this is not going to work. I need to find something to do. And I have been working down at the senior center. I have fixed their database. We are now sending out via email the newsletter. We're wishing people happy birthday in their birthday month. And just little things like that, kind of learning how to use, they have a My Senior software. And my discussion with Ryan, Claudia had asked me to post things on the Facebook page for the seniors. And apparently there was a meeting. Well, actually, Whitney asked me first. And I was kind of like, I don't know that much about Facebook. And the next thing I know, the town department heads had a meeting, and Claudia knew I had finished the database, and I was kind of looking for something else to do. And she asked me if I would go and talk with Ryan. And I had a very nice chat with him. And the goal is he's going to teach me how to do Facebook. And he wants, like the senior newsletter, he wants it on, the town has 3 websites. He wants all the information to be replicated on each one of those. So no matter where you go, whether you go to hubbardstonmass.gov or Hubbardston Mass USA, wherever you go, that's the same stuff is there.
Mhm.
And Whitney had talked to me about helping you guys as well. So here I am.
Okay, well, good. So I think that you are also going to be helping in that endeavor with Ryan's group, putting this information for the
Yes.
seniors and working with Ryan about learning all
Yeah.
that. Okay.
It's become more than just the seniors.
Yeah,
It's,
okay.
the stuff that's happening in town, and he talked a little bit about the EDC and how he wants people to find out what's happening in Hubbardston so that maybe somebody might be enticed to open like an ice cream parlor. This is
Right.
if they're going down to the rec field for some activities or whatever
Sure.
it is.
Sure.
Kind of cool. So if I can
Yeah,
help,
very-
okay. And I told,
Okay,
this is
sure.
what I said to him. Let's try it out, see how it goes. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if I like it and you like it, we'll go forward.
Okay. Sounds good. Any comments from anybody? Any questions for Susan from anybody?
Be on board.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome. It will be fun.
Lori-
It's going to be an adventure.
Lori,
Mhm.
were you trying to say something? Because your name appeared, but it was Peter's picture and Peter's conversation.
I just said thank you. It's great to have extra hands to do lots of work. And I love your enthusiasm.
Okay.
Terrific. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think that this is a good match. I hope that it works out well. I hope that, and I'm going to throw Katie right there. I hope that Ryan is a good teacher in Facebook, but I know if he's not, I know the best person I know, and she's right here at the meeting. And perhaps Katie, if it came to that, would you maybe be able to, give Susan a lesson or two, so to speak?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Okay, terrific. Yeah. You couldn't learn from anyone better. So honestly, but let's see how Ryan fares with it.
Well,
And then
my biggest flaw. Oh, it's okay. That's my biggest flaw. Is typos.
is what you cut
Is it-
out.
Typos.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Sue can do all that proofing, but yeah, if you could, assist with that, that would be great. I know she's in terrific hands. So Susan, please
Yeah.
feel free to hang in there, through the rest of the meeting, get a little bit of an idea about what we do and what we're, trying to accomplish. And I, for one, look forward to working with you, and I'm glad to have you on board. And I think I speak for just about everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The only thing that I will say is, let's see what happens next week. Ryan's going to be back he's on military leave right now, and he was
Yep.
on vacation
Yep.
the week before.
Right.
I mean, I know I've got my logins, but I don't know what to do with them.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well,
we'll
listen, I
wait.
mean, this is all, stepping stones, and we're, a lot of this is new. That actually the committee is quite new. And so yeah, we're not going to throw you to the wolves. We'll just, we'll work with you and teach you everything that we can. And we just progress at the same pace. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, terrific. All right, moving on. Let's see what was next on the agenda. I'm going to open that up real fast. And we were going to talk a little bit about where we are with our sponsorship. And we have received one purchase of one sign for the sponsorship so far.
Sweet. Who?
That is Open Door Real Estate in Princeton/Sterling.
Okay.
Her first name is Tara and her last name is Peddle. And they would like the sign there on, what is that, 62, Katie?
Yeah, 62 and 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her concern, one of the things that she wanted to, find out was the work on the bridge, she thought was, she was concerned about that because there was going to be, traffic holds up and that kind of thing. But I spoke to you, Katie, as well as Ryan, and was assured that that sign would be as close to the town limits as possible, and therefore would circumvent anything going on with the bridge. And
Okay.
so, it's a go ahead for her. I told her, as I would tell anybody at this point, there's not a likelihood that we would get any new signs in the ground before the ground freezes. So, we're starting her sponsorship in spring of 2021.
Okay, so she
And
wants
that particular, she wants a $1,500 sign.
Yeah, the one down by Berry Falls.
Correct. Yep, that
Yeah.
one. Exactly. Now, Katie had brought to my attention not too long ago that John D'Amelia had asked about perhaps being able to share a sign with his wife's photography business. And I think that, you might remember a couple of months ago, we had a discussion about sharing sponsorship or, doing it for 6 months at a time instead. And that was vetoed fairly quickly. And I think for good reason. I had brought it up and Katie, you had vetoed it. And then, in retrospect, thinking about it, it was a good idea because, a number of issues. One of the things that I was concerned about was that if we agreed to allow people to share the sign, I don't want to, I called it an episode of having to, redo the seating at a wedding. I don't want to have to say, okay, so-and-so doesn't want to share a sign with this person. Let's find another person. That's a lot of work to do. And Katie brought up the suggestion that if we agree to, share sponsorship on the signs, that those particular people would be responsible for finding that secondary person. And that's a great idea. So I wanted to have a discussion about that, and what everyone thinks about it. But I'm going to preface it by saying that I would like to, since this is our first kind of go round seeking sponsorship, to give us a little bit more time, in the format that we're using right now, which is a year sponsorship with a single sponsor per year per sign. And perhaps what we could do tonight is determine maybe a cutoff date for that, and then open it to multiple sign, 2 signs, no more than 2 for sure, and like that. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Anybody?
Anybody?
Okay, I'll go.
Yes, please.
I think you're on the right track. I would try to keep it for 1, because people will, and that's fine if a partnership, like obviously John D'Amelia and Tiny Toes and Little Bows, they're, related. So
Sure.
and I get
Of course.
trying to sign, so that's why I threw it out there. It does come to a point where how many signs do you want on there? So I would definitely cap it if you're going to say 2, because you don't want like 5 on there, different businesses, because then it just looks messy and tacky and everything else. So, but I would give it a
Totally
go.
capping it too. Yeah.
Give it a go, see if you can get 1. But yeah, if not, I don't see why 2 wouldn't work. I wouldn't do more than 2 though. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. Well, we have to. Okay. So I'm going to throw this out also, is that, does this become a cost for us? Because in order to have Franz make another sign, that, we're going to pay for it. You know what I mean? Unless we determine that if you do a multiple sponsorship, there's additional cost for the second sign to be made, the second sponsorship sign. So are we willing to take that from our, let's say, what we're bringing in for the signs? Are we willing to subtract that from it?
Well,
And how should
is
we handle that? I think they're about $289 a piece.
really for that little strip?
Yep.
I was thinking like $40. Who cares?
No, they're not that. And I'm talking to Franz, fairly regularly. So I can, try and pinpoint him. If we did, a simple, white background with green lettering, or that reverse or whatever, and just keep it simple, could we, maybe cut that price somehow? I can talk to him about that. But what I'd like to determine tonight is what our cutoff point is for our single sponsorship. When do we open it up to, to a 2 spot, let's say? Anybody have any dates in mind?
Anybody? No. Oh, go ahead.
So at this point, the woman who is sponsoring a sign, it's going to start early spring next year, and she's paying for a full year.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Because then if we do that, it doesn't give her the option of having a co-sponsor unless you present it to her, if we're going to do that.
Well, she did not raise that point. She did not also, she didn't seem to have any concerns with the cost of the sponsorship. Had she brought it up, I certainly would have, had a dialogue with her about it. But I imagine that I could go back to her and ask. I'm not against doing that.
Okay. There's just something I thought of.
Okay.
As far as time, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, as far
Yeah.
as time, I mean, what's it been? When did the applications go out for sponsor? A month ago? 3 weeks ago?
3 and 2 weeks ago, 2 and 3 weeks ago. About 3 weeks ago, a little less than
And-
that on some of them.
And out of that last 3 weeks, you've got one sponsor so far?
Correct?
I'd give it another week or two. If you don't get any other bites, if we don't get any other bites, I would open it up to co-sponsors.
Okay.
I mean, I thought.
Okay, so then we would have to do a new campaign, outlining that,
Or if you just
letting
add another
people
line
know.
to your original application and send them out again.
Right. That's
We
true.
could
That's
post
true.
something. I thought Edward Jones there was interested in the sign.
I did too, but I sent them one and I just haven't heard from them. I just haven't, and I do want to leave myself time to be able to reach out to some people via the telephone. Absolutely. So my thought was to give it until January 1. That's what I was thinking,
That's fine.
to give it to, till that date. I will say though, at the town fair, no, I'm sorry, field day, beg your pardon, at field day, Taryn and I were out there giving out, the flyers about the sponsorship, and Bill Shea had mentioned at that time, the same thing that John DeMalia had mentioned, that, he thought it was expensive, and, and what was the, is there a possibility of having, more than one sponsors? And I had told him, as I, said this evening, it's our first, go round at it, and we'd like to take a little bit of time to see what the response is, but we were not against revisiting, this process, let's say, or, the format for it. And so that's the only feedback that I've received so far. Katie, have you heard anything from anybody else other than John? Okay. About the cost of this, or, their thoughts about it?
No.
No.
Nope.
Anybody else? No. Okay. So what does anyone think about a date? I don't mean to, whatever. I thought January 1 was a decent date, again, to allow me to, start reaching out to some of the, the companies that I would have expected an answer from. And, but, does anyone think that we need to call that a little bit sooner than January 1?
Depends how long, all depends how long you want to wait to see if we can get sponsorship for these signs.
Okay.
I mean,
So you know what, you're right. Okay, so let me then, I'm gonna, between now and our next meeting, our November meeting, I will make those phone calls. I'll make sure that I fit that in and get them done. And hopefully I'll have a better feedback, let's say, at that point, and then we can make a determination at our next meeting. And possibly at our next meeting, we might cut it for December 1, boom. And, and just get another 2 weeks after the next meeting. What does anybody think about that?
excellent.
Whitney, it's Lori.
Yeah.
I can speak as a really small business that
Yes.
finances are really tight, and
Sure.
that I totally get the sense that people are hunkering down at this point. And I don't know whether it's pandemic or it's election, or there's so many things going on. So
Yeah.
I guess I wonder if there needs to be a little bit of latitude around that we may want to be back in touch with them that soon, but it could be that people are really reluctant to make any decisions about anything new just yet. And I don't know what people are going to be waiting for. Are they going to wait until, I don't know,
Right.
fill in the blank? But
Right.
to me, it's just a really dicey landscape, which makes it
Okay.
hard to do what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and it does in terms of timing as well.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can think is, we've got we've got the election coming up, and that's before our next meeting. I could wait until after the election, but is it going to be COVID, beyond that, in terms of, people just, not having the confidence or the fun, whatever you want to call it. So I guess, let's say that at our December meeting, that I don't think I want to push it beyond that. At our December meeting, to have a discussion about what's occurred, okay, and make a decision moving forward from that point on. I mean, is there a difference between December and January 1 in the eyes of, of businesses, of our small businesses? Are
Well,
they, wanting to see what the, what?
Wait, stop, you're talking in circles. Why don't you put on the agenda for December to talk, to talk about a date again, whether we want to look at January 1st or further, and we can see what's going on at that point in time and reassess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that December meeting is the time to do it. Yeah, okay. Okay. So let's schedule that, and then we'll do that cutoff point for January. And between now and that meeting, I will have, made contact with at least, 25, if not 50% of the businesses that I sent the flyers out to. Okay. Next on the agenda is the update on the response for the EDC coordinator internship post. I think we covered that with Susan. We did not have a high response to that. We had one other person who responded. She was a mechanic and had young children at home and had an interest in changing what she was doing for work, and she was very reticent, though, when I talked to her about, she was very, confident about Facebook and social media and all that. And when I told her that, she needed to attend the meetings via Zoom, she absolutely refused on that. She did go on to say that her children were, at home being schooled, and perhaps she had an issue with security with Zoom or whatever. But she was against that, very strongly against it. And I reached back out to her later on. I waited to see what other response we had. And I reached back out to her to see if there was anything that we could do that would alleviate some of her fears or concerns. Because I talked to Ryan about them, and he said that we have other additional layers that prevent all kinds of bombing, whatever they're called, where you come into the meetings and that kind of thing. And I wanted to talk to her about that, but she never returned the calls. And so, so again, the response was fairly light, but I think that we're in good hands with Susan. But if anybody has any comments they'd like to make on, furthering that, then let's, talk about that now. Anybody? Class, Bueller?
No,
I mean, I'll speak. You gave her a chance to respond back to you, Whit, and she didn't respond back to you, so that's a dead issue.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. Okay, in agreement with that,
Yes.
everybody?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Under new business, request from department heads for additions, edits for the small business guide. So we have worked on, Danielle, Peter, and I have worked on a letter to be sent out to the department heads to ask them to edit and include any additional information that would be relevant to somebody wanting to come to town and start a business. It could be something as simple as a one-pager or up to a step-by-step, kind of guide, if you will. We prepared that letter, and I'm going to get that sent to the department heads in the next, maybe by the end of this week. And mentioned in that letter to them that I would like to have, or we would like to have, that Hubbardston Small Business Guide available for distribution by January 2021. Anybody?
sounds good.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about what the small business guide is? Well, Lori wasn't here for the last meeting. I will tell you, Lori, that Todd Miller was the person who he made up this guide from the North Reading Small Business Guide. And it's, it has a lot of content for sure, but we noticed that there were, that a lot of the information was missing about what any potential business owner was missing for them to, know what steps to take from each department. What if I want to open this kind of business, where do I go? And when I go to you, what am I going to expect? And so that's the kind of thing that we want to include in this guide. So there's full transparency and everybody knows what steps they need to take in order for this to happen. We've had several businesses in town who have had issues trying to start a business or to promote their business or to further business. And we want to avoid that. So we want that, in writing so everybody understands, and it's, very detailed about the process. So that's what the small business guide is about. And we're working on that right now.
So is that something, Whit, that's going to be, that's shared with others? Like, would I be able to see it?
Oh, sure, of course, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I have a hard copy of it, but if you like, I can absolutely send you what I have now on, the PDF file for it. And, of course, it's not complete, but yeah, eventually that'll be open to the public. Anybody can have that. They can go into town offices and pick one up. And I guess there would probably, Katie, maybe you can help me with this. Would there maybe be even a page somewhere on one of the town websites where that guide can be posted, do you think?
Yeah, on the EDC page. And file.
On the, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Whit, I would just
I'm
like
sorry.
to look at it. Oh, what?
No, Katie, you kind of cut out. I had asked, and you said on the EDC Facebook page we should put that.
No, on the town web, on the EDC page, it says our mission statement and the members and everything else. We can put it as a file on the bottom that people can open it up and read it there, or they could print it out.
Okay, that'll be great. And we'll get copies made so that they can be left over in the offices there and people can come and pick them up as well.
So
that would be great. Okay, yeah.
It's Lori. Like, so is this already a developed document, or is it in process?
Say it again. Say it again. I'm sorry.
Is it an already developed document, or is it something that's being created right now?
No, it's an already developed, it is a guide. It's a guide. And it does, it's got, addresses, email addresses, some basics about each department. And actually there's one or two departments that doesn't really need, more information about them. Okay. But it is a basic manual or a basic guide. But what we want to do, based on the feedback that we've gotten from existing businesses and businesses that have attempted to open here, and the feedback was that there wasn't enough information. They, felt that they were either, kind of, just going in circles, or they thought that they had accomplished everything necessary and then found out at the last minute they hadn't, and that kind of thing. And so that's why we want to have these pages filled with that information, being very specific and detailed about what that particular department requires from you in order to open a business, if applicable to that department. Okay. I mean, if you're going to open a shoe store, you don't need to go to the Board of Health, I don't think, you see. But we do need, transparency so that everybody really knows, and that these pages are followed. You know what I mean? In other words, you put them in print, and it's kind of, you have to, that's what people are expecting, and that's what you have to provide for them.
So basically, Lori, it's created, it needs a bit of help.
Oh, Katie, you're going in and out. Can you try that again?
I said,
yeah, for sure she is.
Yeah, I know. Lovely internet of Charter, like, for the love of God, just work.
I know.
But yeah, it's created.
Clear.
Yeah, it's created. It just needs work. So it's trying to get some more information that we feel is kind of missing. So it is there, but it's not complete.
Okay.
It's there. It's probably, I have it right in front of me, hard copy. It is, I'm looking at, it says it's 11 pages, and it's about 11 pages, and then it has a map, okay? And it does have quite a bit of information. The only thing that we felt was missing from this was, you know, like I said, that kind of step by step. We want pages. You could call them a one pager. You could call them a step by step guide. But I think that the departments that this is applicable to, we want them to create a page so that when people look at that page, you know, they understand exactly what that department will do for them, if they need to go to that department, and what they can, you know, what they're going to find from that department. I don't really know another better way to explain it. So we just want, you know, everyone to know what each department will serve them with.
Mhm.
And what they can expect from that department. Does that, am I making sense?
Yeah, yeah, what you're making sense. I guess I'm still trying to figure out, and I think it'll probably take me, it's a learning curve, like just trying to figure out the goals of this group and also how I can be helpful. And I can say that having
Right.
started my small practice back in 2010, like there were no guidelines. But I'm sure there's still things that I
Right.
haven't done that I should have done. So anyway, so if I can be helpful, I'll check it out and maybe give some feedback on some of the stuff that was tricky for us. I mean, we were jumping through some different hoops because we owned the building and we were renovating a building
Right.
and needed to go through like planning board and getting permission to do certain things. That was a little bit tricky. And if you don't walk the walk, if you don't go like from point A to point B to point C, then you can really be held back or denied. And so I think this is a really good document to have. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wished it existed when I started.
And so that's a perfect example of why we're doing this, a perfect example. And I'd like to talk to you about that in greater detail, actually,
Cool.
so that you might be able to say, this is, you know, some of the roadblocks we hit. And perhaps I could bring that to, you know, the different department heads and mention it to them, you know, and let them know, because it should, you know, everyone should have the, you know, the same information, and it should apply to everybody. There should be no deviation from it.
Right.
So that's what we want. We want transparency from all the departments on what, you know, what they expect, what we can expect from them, and then moving forward with that. So we can
Fair enough.
avoid the things that you just were referring to.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll talk about that in greater detail. That would be great. All right. I'll put my glasses back on. Okay. Anybody have any questions about what's happening with the guide?
Nope.
Okay. I will, like I said, I'll get that out probably by the end of this week, and by our next meeting, we might, you know, have a couple of additional pages from everybody.
Cool.
And so now I'm going to let Katie talk to us about the EDC's role in the commercial overlay district. And we're going to probably skip over the wayfaring signs, and Katie's going to also give us a little bit of a tutorial about the common country, but we'll get to that in a minute. So Katie, I'm going to let you talk about how we need to assist with this commercial overlay.
All right, so is that me echoing? No.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it?
You went out.
Hold on. Like,
It's okay.
all right. Is that better?
Yes.
Maybe. Okay. So
Yep.
originally, when we did the sign bylaw, the other step that we thought was going to be a good motivation for the town to, you know, hopefully get some more business in town that we would like to have, would be doing a overlay district. Now, an overlay district is an area that you define to have certain businesses in, and you would have a list, and that would be allowed, and the criteria is there. But also the other step to it would be, it would have to go through the planning board to be approved still, just to make sure that they do fall under the guidelines of what we would want in town. So if you think of it this way, like say you lived in town, well, technically you can have a business out of your house, but you live on the end of, like, say, Mayo Road, which is a dead end that's dirt way out in the middle of nowhere. Are you going to be able to put like a doctor's office or a restaurant out there or something like that? No, that's not going to fall under guidelines to go into somebody's house. But you want to have your business in town. Okay, well, you can go rent a spot in this little tiny center commercial of, the center of town, which is super small and there's not a lot of space. Well, that kind of defeats the purpose of having businesses in the town. So if you did an overlay district, which in my mind would be Route 68 corridor, you could technically, in theory, rent a house to put something that would fit into the criteria that we deem that would be a good fit for our town, like a chiropractor's office or a photography studio, something that's that all the neighbors, it's not gonna, be dirty or filthy or, be loud or anything. Like, you're not gonna put a factory in, you're not gonna put a big box
Or
store.
we don't need any additional police benefit, all that. Yeah.
Thing that would fit into a neighborhood that you wouldn't even know it's there, so in my mind, like I said, Route 68 just screams overlay district for, for commercial space. But again, it has to have steps to make it so that way we make sure that it just can't have anything come in. It has to be something that's going to not upset the people that live next door. You can't have yucky things going in the center of town next to neighbors and things like that. So the way to do it is to come up with the area that you would want the overlay district to be, and then a list of what you would want to be allowed. And then again, they would still have to have a step go through to like be approved by the planning board to make sure that they meet the criteria. So there is so many steps that I think that it would be a safe bet to do that. And again, this would be a bylaw change. So it'd have to go through the planning board anyway, like the sign bylaw did. So in other words, we can look around at other towns, and I think that's what we should do in towns that are like us. And look at some of what they allow in business, if they have an overlay district or anything like that, and see what it kind of is and see what we are looking at, and then kind of put something general together. And then unfortunately we kick it over to planning, which they're going to love.
Yeah.
To make them do more work. But it
Need more best friends.
Yeah, I know. But that's the way it has to, it's got to go through one of those. It's going to have open hearings, just like the sign bylaw and everything else. And then eventually it would get voted on at a town meeting. Hopefully in June at a town meeting. We just talked about that at the select board meeting on Monday that we just had, about kind of pushing that along to make sure that they get an open meeting in before the next town meeting, because that's where it kind of failed. It was supposed to go in front of the last town meeting, but unfortunately the planning board didn't have a quorum at their open meeting and they ran out of time.
Right.
So
That's right.
Yeah. So it's gonna be delayed. But at this point, we can't wait for them forever to get something to go through. We need to start working on the next thing to help encourage businesses to come to town. So that's my agenda idea that I've been kind of sitting on for a while now. And I think that's the next thing that we really need to start looking at changing to start town with businesses. Does anybody have anything to say about that hot mess that I just spewed out?
No. So in other words, so that avoids where a person has to own the property, correct? In order to have a business in it, they can rent a building, even if it's like a single dwelling home, let's say. They can rent that particular building and have a business from it without being the home owner.
If that's the way we write it. It could be either way. In other words, they wouldn't.
You went out for a second. I'm sorry. You went out for a second there after I asked the question.
Charter's gonna kill me, I swear. This internet is for the bird. So anyway, What I was saying is it depends on how you write it. It could either have to be owned or it could be rented. I don't see a problem either way, as long as the building is being maintained and the business is what it says it's going to be. I personally don't care whether you rent it or own it. But again, that's my personal opinion. We have to get the bylaw and we'd have to get a consensus on it and write one that would make sense.
Well, if you were required to own the building, then how does that differentiate from what the existing law is right now, bylaw is right now, about anyone who owns a home can have 20% of that home for their business? How would that
you may not want the business in your own private home and you may want to buy a second building.
Okay, yeah.
So
God bless us if that
well,
happens.
like I said, say you live on, Mayo Road or whatever,
Yeah.
another road, whatever road, somewhere way out in the
Yep.
sticks, and you want to have like a chiropractor's office. You're not going to want them driving down those bumpy ass roads. They as soon as
With
you
a bad back.
leave, they'll be all ruined again. But if you had a house on 68
Touche.
location that you bought specifically for your chiropractor office, it would be
Okay.
located. So
Okay. And so how first of all, how do we make that determination about whether it's a rental versus a home ownership? Is that something that we're gonna,
my
is that something that
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, my suggestion is we need to look at other towns and see what they're doing for overlay districts
Okay.
for business area and things like that, or their business commercial districts in general, and just kind of glance at what everyone's bylaws are and kind of get a consensus, because then we can figure out, we take the good parts and make it make sense. You know what I mean? We cherry
Sure.
what we
Yeah.
want for our specifics. and
Okay.
start-
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's-
So do you want to give our committee some homework to do on this?
Sure, I love giving
Yeah,
homework.
I thought so.
Because I don't got nothing going on over here.
No, I know you don't.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe
Tell
we
us how
should.
we can help.
I would like everyone to take a couple towns to look at in our surrounding area. So maybe like one person takes, some of the northern towns. We can, I don't know, divvy it up by north, south, east, west, and look at them. Or
Okay.
very quickly, we can take, Gardner, Rutland, Westminster. We can put them by town. Everybody take a couple towns just to go on their town website and look up the bylaws and see what they have for their specific towns.
Okay. Okay. And do we report this back to you?
Well, we'll bring it to the next meeting. And that way you have a whole month to do it.
Okay, terrific. Okay. All right.
Does anybody want-
Okay. So say that again.
do we want to list out some towns, like everyone, so that way we don't double up and 2 people do Gardner and 3
Yeah,
people do,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So would this make it we've got, well, let's look at some of the towns. Let's take a number of towns, and then we can decide if we want to do this in groups of 2, let's say, or if everyone just wants to take their own. So what towns, what are we thinking? Barry is one of them?
Yeah.
I'll take Barry.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's-
Westminster, I'll take Westminster because I'll take Westminster.
Okay.
Katie, name some other towns.
How about Rutland?
Rutland.
Rutland, who wants to take Rutland?
Peter just took Rutland.
Okay.
See, what's another one? What about Templeton? You think Templeton would have an overlay, or you think they're too big? Or any kind of, well, they have,
I'm curious about Templeton. And if no one else wants, I'll do Templeton as a secondary. I'm very curious about them. I am. And what they've been doing. Yep.
yeah, because they're kind of towny, but they're kind of city too. It's like,
Yeah,
so
I am interested in how they're doing stuff. So I'll do Templeton and Westminster. What other towns do we have?
we have, let's see, what did I say? Rutland, there's Holden, but that gets a little bit more city. And that's what people
Right.
kind of to shy away from. We
Okay.
have, there's Princeton. Princeton's super rural.
Yeah, let's look at Princeton.
I'll do Princeton. Excuse me.
Okay,
Princeton.
All right.
okay, good.
So, yeah, see what they have. And again, if the town, look at the commercial bylaws, and then if they have any overlay districts, that's what you're looking for. And just, you can print them off, or you can, come back with a synopsis of what they say, and what you think
Yeah.
is the best parts, what you think is bad. Let's start looking at this and hearing some opinions, so we can start getting this
Okay,
forward with inviting some more businesses into town with hopefully an overlay district.
okay,
Because if
Okay.
we can
that's great. Okay,
a little bit together, then we can kick it over to planning, so it's not so much work on them. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna
Yeah.
go over it thoroughly, and they have to, cross all the T's and dot all the I's, and they'll do it again. But if we can at least give them something rather than they're starting from scratch, it might actually move forward a
Yeah.
lot faster.
Can
Okay,
I just throw
okay,
in
good.
an extra wrinkle? When we got started at One Main, we were told that there were restrictions as far as how many parking spaces we had to have and what kind
That's
of
an issue.
septic we had to have.
Mhm.
And those are things
Yeah.
that probably should be checked if we're looking at other towns in terms of what their requirements are. I'm not sure how those determinations are happening here in Hubbardston,
Okay.
but they were showstoppers for us. So
Mm.
Lori,
Yeah.
what did you say? Parking spaces and what?
Yeah, this
parking
is
spaces and
interesting.
septic,
Septic. Okay,
because everybody's on their own septic.
right.
Yeah.
Thank
And we had to
Yeah,
have one.
oh,
Yeah, we had to have one that was going to be able to take care of a certain number of projected people that we might see in any given week.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that might be a big.
And that is some, I'm gonna ask, well, we don't know. Laura, you bought that building.
Yep.
Would that be something that a potential renter would have to deal with? Or would that be on the owner for
Don't know.
something like that?
Don't know.
Okay.
It would make sense to maybe run that by somebody on the planning board. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right. We do need to find that out. Okay.
I wouldn't want somebody to try to start a business and then have them come back and say, you don't have any off-street parking, you can't do it.
Well, this is exactly why we're doing this, because
Yep.
we had an individual business that thought that they kind of had the green light, and
Mhm.
and then it ended up, no, they didn't. We can't have that, it doesn't bode well. So, okay, this is a good plan. I like this.
Okay.
Terrific. Any questions or comments about that, what we're talking about? I love that. All right. And I'd like to, as best we can, to maybe have some input and feedback at our next meeting on this. Katie, when is the next meeting that we have to bring this to?
The November meeting.
Oh, your November meeting, and what date is that?
No, you're gonna bring it here to this meeting.
Yeah, but okay, so you want it by our next meeting.
Well, yeah, you're only looking
All
at
right.
one. It shouldn't be too brutal, right?
Okay, fine. Yeah, well, I'm all right with it. Everyone else okay with that?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're all-
terrific. Okay. So, Katie, now everybody, we've tried to have this conversation with Katie about her original intention for Quabbin Country. And I never wanted her to have to, repeat it over and over again. So we're constantly trying to wait until we have enough members at any one particular meeting. Tonight, again, there are 3 members missing, but since this is being recorded, I feel like maybe it, is the time to do it. It's really important that everybody understands what Katie's intention and idea was when she brought this to Ryan originally, correct?
It was kind of to Todd, and then it kind of got all morphed weird, and yeah, and it is
Okay. Okay. And then when you and I got together, there's started a little bit of momentum on it. But anyone that came in, because we did have a committee of, at one point, but everybody, resigned from that particular committee, so that in an essence, everybody was new and hadn't been on the committee, since its inception, with Katie's idea and her and I, moving forward. So she's gonna she's gonna explain what her intentions are, and how really big and far reaching Quabbin country can be if we work it the way that it was intended to be.
Okay. So country was my thought was we're stuck together with our five
Stop.
yeah, with our five school district for Quabbin, right? So, and we're all very rural, and we all want to stay rural, and we love our rural characteristics, but at the same time, we do want more money coming in by businesses, and we want people to shop our stores, and we want people to come to, pick their Christmas trees or their apples, or come to the winery or whatever, right?
And we want the amenities.
Yeah, and we want our amenities, but yet we still want to stay rural. So we basically want the best of both worlds. And the only way I can see this happening is if the five towns start working together, seeing that, again, we're stuck together by the school district anyway, so why not all help each other? So if we all work together to not only build up and share the different businesses that we have, which basically that's what Quabbin country is right now, is a business listing, because that's one of the first things I always get asked. Hey, do you know somebody that does chimneys? Hey, do you know somebody that does, that can build a wall? Do you know somebody that, does this, that, and the other? So at least that way they can find their neighbors, which that's usually who you want to use, is somebody local, to come in and fix your whatever or work on that. So we have that part started. The rest of it is we want to invite people to come here and take advantage of the ruralness that we have, because we are smack dab in the center of the state. So we're closer than the mountains, yet we have better cell service in most places. So why not use that to our advantage for people to do leaf peeping, to go to the farm, to see, to get their apple picking and get all the rural characteristics, whether it be just a day trip from Worcester, or God forbid, somebody wants to come up from New York City and stay here for the weekend, and start to, they can come.
Years.
Yeah, tourists, they're going to come spend money. Well, the only way to get them to come here and realize all the, the camping, the kayaking areas, all the nature trails that we have, all the best stuff that we have, is to start to log it into one central place. Now, if we start to get people to come in here for tourist reasons, God forbid, they might actually want to move here and become part of our community. But people don't realize where we are. The biggest joke is, and I've been saying it since I was a child, is where the hell is Hubbardston? That is a very true statement. As soon as you say, I'm from Hubbardston, where the hell is Hubbardston? That is the absolute first statement that comes out of their mouth, because they've never heard of this area. They don't know where Barry is. They definitely don't know where New Braintree is, or Oakham or Hardwick. They've never heard of any of us. So we have all these businesses and all these people. Why not start banding together and start creating something that will draw people here, whether it be for the weekend, whether it be to come visit for the day, whether it be to come, use some of our businesses or whatever, or God forbid, live, I also would like to get the school involved into this, because there's nothing better than to show how well the school is, and the sports teams, and what the kids are accomplishing and doing this, that, and the other. The same with like local churches, fairs, all the events that are in the five towns. It all needs to start getting pooled together, and you develop what is Quabbin country. There's other places in the state that are already doing this, and they're reaping the rewards. There's like the other side of Mass, and there's Visit Central Mass, and there's the Berkshires, and like all these little little niches of places that nobody knows of if you're from Boston, because we're just out in the woods. They don't know what the hell we are out here, you know? And Lori's smiling because it's true. It is very true. But that's the only way we're going to be noticed and be used and be a spot to just, I mean, just think of leaf peeping right now. Seriously, like if you're from Worcester, like it's 20-minute drive. And they could be out here just driving the back roads, and God forbid they stop upon a, you know, farm stand or a restaurant and get a meal. You know, that's money that comes into our town, let alone stop and get gas. You know, that's all money that comes back to our town. So the whole idea of Quabbin Country is to build a consensus of our 5 towns, work together and help ourselves become noticed, help our businesses become more fruitful. You know, maybe maybe other businesses will come in. So that is the whole goal behind it. Right now, if you look at it, like I said, it's more of a business directory than anything else, but that can be fixed over time. But the biggest hurdle is we got to get people from other towns on board, so that way some of this information is going to get filtered in, because we know about Hubbardston. I don't know what the hell's going on in New Braintree. I'm not going to lie. I have no idea. You know, I don't know, you know, other than Hardwick Fair, what else is going on in Hardwick, you know? So there's things that we're going to need help with from the other towns, and hopefully to get on board. Whitney and myself were starting to make some momentum, and then COVID hit and everything went to hell. So,
yeah. And I'm going to also, you know, mention that was quite an exercise, just getting any, you know, assistance, let's say. And we do need to disclose that. You know, I think that it's fair for me to say, for both of us, that we didn't feel an outpouring of help from any of the other towns. And we went to one of those town meetings. Wasn't there a representative from every town at that particular meeting?
No, it was Barry's town administrator, and then New Braintree and Oakham. They have I think it's those 2 towns. No, Barry and Hardwick. There's 2 towns that share a town administrator.
Right.
And those 2 towns, which I think both are now new town administrators. I don't even think those 2 people are even there anymore.
Right.
And yeah. So it's like, start over from square one. But basically, it is somebody like me in each town that's just like, is the cheerleader for the town. We'll grab it and just go with it and know everything that's going on, you know, and just can start plugging in information. So we just got to find the hard part.
Went out.
What?
You went out. We just got to find what?
We just need to find that one person in each town.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
In Bay, might have a little bit easier of a time if we hit up the business association that they have. We might get some luck there. But we'll have to think that we have that we kind of got stuck at the town administrators, and then everything COVID hit, and yeah.
Okay.
So
gotcha. Okay, so does anyone, Lori, are you familiar with the Quabbin Country website?
Yep. I'm actually familiar with Todd Miller too. So I think in theory, it sounds like a really good plan. I think that right now, in the midst of COVID restrictions and pandemic, I mean, it's really hard to move ahead when people's agenda is pure survival. So, you know, I think it can be really frustrating when you've got a great idea and you have the energy to do it, but the community is still saying, wait a second, I don't even know if I can leave my house. So timing is everything.
What's been disappointing to me about the Quabbin Country website is that I think that it's a terrific, I mean, it's about the equivalent of having a free website, okay? That, you know, you can put whatever information you want about your business right there. And, you know, and people just were, you know, have not been, you know, grasping it. Now, you were not at the last meeting, but I had mentioned at the last meeting that I came to discover where I had thought that, we had been told actually that the independent businesses were able to maintain their own page on Quabbin Country. And I came to find out that that wasn't true. That, that we had to create those pages. And that does make it a little bit different for, for the business owners. But I still think that having, any platform that, is free of charge for them is a great thing. And I couldn't understand why people weren't, just, chomping at the bit then until I realized that no, we were reaching out to them. So I would like to, find some way to highlight that fact, that, this is it's a directory right now, but it's meant to be so much more. And maybe, Katie, maybe you could talk about what the intention of that particular website is, because you talked to me at one point about having schools included in it and that kind of thing. That makes it way more than a directory.
Yeah. It's not only the schools, it's also just like, think about all the fairs and activities that we have in town, in Hardwick, in Barry, in all the towns together. All the little farmers markets and, the people that do, the, harvest breakfast and, all the different events, the bands are playing here and Punkin' Chunkin's over there and whatever. And it's very painful to try to get this information out to people, even in Hubbardston. And I've been working on this for years and trying to get everybody just to be able to hear that there's, the fair is coming up, or the haunted hayride, or whatever it happens to be, harvest breakfast. And people will still be like, what's harvest breakfast? Well, it's been going on for like 50 years. How have you never heard from it? Today was the most mind-boggling thing I've seen in a while. Somebody posted pictures and they lived in town for over a year and they didn't even know there's a bank in town. And I'm just like, oh my God, and this is what I'm up against. So it's like, I can put up banners.
Wow.
I can put up flags and I can do reverse emails and I can send it home in backpacks in the school. And I can have it on all my social media pages and then all the town social media pages. And it's on all the websites. And yet I will still have somebody come up and say, what do you mean there's a fair? I'm like, oh, and this is where it becomes difficult, is getting the actual information to the people that it's intended to go to. Now, if it's just, I've been, like I said, working on this for years and I'm still running into this, let alone some of these other towns that don't have somebody like me to do it. So how are they getting their messages across? Probably their businesses are probably having, or their foundations, whatever, that are trying to raise money or having events or whatever, are probably having a hard time. And this could make this stuff so much easier for everyone to get together and not only enjoy the stuff that's going on here in Hubbardston, but like this Saturday, there's Christmas in Barry. There's going to be a bunch of vendors that are crafters local from Hubbardston set up there to sell their Christmas, sell their wares for Christmas time.
Right.
How many people actually know about it?
Right.
I've been sharing it, but again, has Hardwick, has, New Braintree, what about, so this is the thing. It's like, it's stuff like that, that could make all of our towns look much better than people realize they actually are, because it's information. So
Gotcha. Well, one thing that I think that might be helpful is that, and I sent you and Ryan an email. I'm going to look for it at some point. It was probably early to midsummer. And that was some of the statistics from the Destination Hubbardston website. And I have, a lot of, when I get responses to it, I contact the people and I've been there's a lot of analytics that go with it. And it's questions like, how did you hear about it? Why would you want to come to Hubbardston? How are you arriving? By plane, by, where do you anticipate staying, and that kind of thing. I think that, culminating all of that information and passing it on, whether it's to the Board of Selectmen or other departments or whatever, might be helpful. There's a lot of information that's included in that. And a lot of, a lot of the things that you're talking about, I'm experiencing something different. I'm experiencing getting contacted by people who have heard about Hubbardston. And it could be as simple as, that they're just looking at destinations, near Boston or rural areas near Boston. My hosting company does, provide me with some of that information as well, but it's very, I want to say generic in terms of it'll say, New England, and there was, 945 people coming from New England, and then it might say Beijing, that kind of thing. So it doesn't, tell you state by state, but it does give us a little bit of an idea about, locations that people are, coming from and inquiring about. So I think because there's such a difference in the response that I'm getting and what you're reporting, which I know is actual as well, that it might be worth looking into and and passing this information on, because one of the reasons that I ask how you're arriving is, we might make an assumption that if they're arriving by plane, they're going into Logan Airport. Well, in fact, I found, several people have said they've gone into the northeastern or northwestern part of Connecticut and that kind of, or, over towards Albany and driving this way. I think that, those are important statistics for us to know as far as targeting those areas as well. So would that be something that, that you would, I know, again, I sent you the statistics at that time when I sent the email, but is that something that you want me to pass along to you? And I could also maybe include some of the email, the people themselves, their email addresses.
Well, yeah, I would, if you have the statistics, I mean, you can send it to my email, and then that way it'll just be there archived just in case I have to reference it.
Okay.
So at least
right.
it's in no man's land doing nothing.
Yeah.
At least it's
And then what I'll do maybe is put it on the agenda for the next meeting to share that information, those statistics, and then maybe perhaps some of our members might have the idea of some other questions that might be, pertinent to what we're trying to accomplish. Other questions that I can ask them as they're arriving. That's one of the reasons why, I'm finding out also that, our Airbnb idea should come to fruition. We're short on spaces, but I think that we've got a lot of people who are interested in coming if we can accommodate them.
I mean, God forbid, and then have or something to that effect.
Nope, you're breaking up completely.
Okay, let's try it again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, from God forbid, go.
Okay. So yeah, I know, God forbid if we had a bunch of, not a ton, but Airbnbs in town, people rent their bedroom to make some extra cash and had a destination like a wedding spot. It's like,
absolutely.
I know Plainview has, done one, but maybe they're going to do some more. Who knows?
Absolutely.
It's just, that would be income into the town one way or another, helping, without making big box stores and all the stuff we don't want,
Right. Well, as supplemental income, and then, things like that can lead into, which I've been, dealing with and working with, and those are, just Airbnb experiences where people can come for an afternoon. They don't even have to stay overnight. And you can take them to various farms, and you could cook a meal from what you've gathered, or you could go to a spa day and go to Lori's Wellness Center, and then, go over somewhere on a hike and that kind of, and on and on. So, these are, to me, missed opportunities. They get people in town for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And they don't have a huge, impact on the town, let's say. What does anyone think about any of those ideas about, sharing that information and maybe kind of running with it and seeing what we could, finding out how we can facilitate what people are, wanting to accomplish if they come here.
Sounds good.
Anybody else?
Peter said yes.
Can't
And
hear him
Lori-
at all.
I say
And
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Danielle,
Yeah.
Muted.
there you go. Everybody said yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that we can all, I don't know, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but, in my opinion, what we have going for us is our natural habitat, so to speak. Okay. Those are the trails, or the outdoor sports and that kind of thing. And if we just, start with that slowly and have great accommodations for them and choices and that kind of thing, you can build a nice tourist base on that. It doesn't include gambling. It doesn't include drinking. It does, and so it's kind of mild, and, it's kind of a nice segue into, introducing, let's say, people to the community and what we have to offer. I mean, it's free to us. My gosh, look at all we have. So, it's kind of all we have in terms of what we can offer folks, until we, deal with the overlay and that kind of thing. And then we have a couple of, possibly retail spaces to offer, which will be great. Katie, where are we with, it's not on the agenda, but where are we with the, decorations? Have you spoken to any of the store owners or anything about allowing that?
Yes, I am in the process of that.
Okay. And what do you think about, do you think that we'll be able, have we heard any definitive answer about whether they're doing the country roads this year?
I have, last I heard, they didn't think they were, but.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. That's what I heard from Sherry.
Yeah, I heard that from Giacomo's.
Okay. Well, we have the light fight, and that's even more important, actually. And so, do you think that we're going to get a response from any businesses to stay open late?
I'm not sure. We'll have to get there. It's still super early. I'm just starting to hit all the businesses. I've hit a bunch of them. I've done the sponsor list, and I've done the people that have already entered in previous, and I've hit a few of the businesses that I've already gone into. So just, I happen to be there, and I got stuff in my car, and I'm like, hey, here's a fork.
Right out of the trunk. All right. Well, I'm ready to decorate. No problem. I've got all kinds of inventory, so we can move ahead with that, and let me know if I can help with anything.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, it looks like that's pretty much everything on the agenda. Do we have any community concerns that anyone has heard about that we need to discuss, or anything like that?
Nope.
Hello. Okay. Peter?
He says
Peter says no.
Peter?
He said no.
Peter says
Nothing.
all right. All right. So a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Somebody actually has to make it.
Sorry. So how do I do that?
So say, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
There we go.
I will
Somebody
second the motion.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Good night.
Good